to day 2 of the Learn to Ferment with Stace. Today, it's these gummies. I cannot wait for you to have these in your diet every single week. Honestly, I have been making them for 10 years now and they are such a hit with the kids. First off, I want you to think through, what are you gonna set your gummies in? Is it in a Pyrex glass container, or is it in some of these little silicone molds? I did have these on the shopping list. I grabbed them off Amazon or from home shops. All I would encourage you to do is to make sure that they are 100% silicone grade. You'll know that because see how soft these are? If they've got plastic in them like that they often do when you get them from Woolies or Coles, they're very, very difficult to get out of the molds. All right, when you're putting them on the molds too, whack them on a tray, make sure that fits in the oven because they are going to be wibbly wobbly as you're carrying them there. So it's good just to have them on a tray to start off with. Okay, first things first is we want to get our juice in to start heating up with our gelatin. So I aim for 1 1/4 cups of juice. I want you to use a juice, darling, that you like. If you've never had orange juice before and you're using orange juice now, that's going to be tricky. But hey, if the kids absolutely love apple juice, then please go ahead and use that. And I'm going to do mine in the Thermomix, but you can do this in a saucepan. What you're trying to do is basically heat this gelatin enough so that it melts, right? Once it goes hard, that is what is going to toughen our gummies. Now, the benefits of gelatin is, and using this powdered real stuff, is that it's a really great hit of protein. And you've obviously got a lot of sugar there with your fruit juice. So this is going to just ensure, we're putting in 4 heaped tablespoons, by the way, that blood sugar level is a little bit more steady. Why I love including gelatin in my cruise diet is that this is ground up of both bones, but cartilages. That is what it's going to do for us. Not only does it strengthen our bones, but mostly this is the stuff that starts healing our gut lining. This is the stuff that starts putting a bit more collagen and plumpness in our skin. It is absolutely wonderful, and just make sure that you're always getting the powdered stuff. So yes, it costs a little bit more, but you can add it not just to your gummies, but I also put it into my smoothies and things like that as well. Okay, what we're going to do now is heat this gelatin so that it starts to dissolve. You can do that on your cooktop just below a medium heat with a whisk, or I'm going to do it in the Thermomix for 4 minutes at 37 degrees on speed 2, but just reverse it. Okay, now that we've got the gelatin in, I want you to think about if you wanted to be adding any colors in here or any extra flavor. If your babes haven't had these before and they've got a really sweet tooth, your babe could be quite old, then you might want to whack in a little bit of honey. Just a teaspoon should get them over the line. But maybe you're using an apple juice and you really want to add in some cinnamon. That would be a gorgeous spot to do it. I really encourage you to do it now while it's in here and the gelatin is blooming. The other thing that you can do is actually add in some coloring. I am all about gut health here, so I'm not going to be putting in pretend food dyes, but things like blue spirulina, and I'll link all the other ones below. I get raspberry powder, mango powder. You can color these up so many different ways, especially if you use just a straight kombucha that you might want to do in here, or you might want to use like a cloudy apple juice that is a really light color that takes on the blue spirulina perfectly. You use about half a teaspoon to the mixture that I do here of the gelatin. So now this is ready to heat up and basically bloom the gelatin, which means to make it soft and runny. So in the Thermomix for 4 minutes at 37 degrees, speed 2, and I just reverse that. But if you're doing it on the cooktop in your saucepan, do it just below a medium heat and whisk it every now and then. You'll probably find that it is all melted and you can't see any more chunks after about 3 minutes. Let's go. Alrighty, let's have a look. You can see now that all of the mixture is melted. It looks a little bit thicker and there's no more chunks. That is what you're looking for. Perfection. And now we're just gonna mix in some kombucha. So here's my kombucha. This is one that I make from scratch. I can teach you how to do this in my fermenting course that is below. And the reason I make it from scratch is because all I have to do is brew some tea with sugar and then put it in here and it's done. So it cost me about 60 cents a litre compared to probably only $10 that you've paid for your kombucha, right? So much cheaper. And I love too having it on hand because I can make it into things or we can drink it. That's one of the benefits here in my course is I can teach you so many different ways to use your ferments that's not just sitting there with a fork and having to eat them. All right, I've got the kombucha in with the juice now, and it is as simple as pouring it into the molds. I do that in a little glass container because I just find it easier to maneuver, but you can absolutely pour it straight from your Thermomix bowl or your saucepan. These aren't going to expand, whenever I start pouring these in, my head always goes, oh, it's an ice brick. It's not, right? So you can fill them to the very top. If you love my idea of doing different colors, what you can do is half fill them and then put some more on top after it has set in the fridge. I give it a good hour or two to set. If you're wanting to send these to school with the kids, I love doing that. You can always add a little bit more gelatin. That will help them set. See here, when you overfill it, I just literally use my knife. There's always a way in Stace's world to make it easy. Add an extra tablespoon of gelatin. Will make them really, really hard. If you want these softer, more like aeroplane jelly, please don't put them in the molds because they'll stick to it. But you can cut the gelatin in half and just put it into one of the glass containers like this, and it will be like spoon jelly. But whenever I'm sending them to school, I just make sure that they're in a fridge bag, and I pack all of my kids' stuff in steel, like the stainless steel ones. And I find that that's a really great option too, because it just keeps them really, really cold. Yummy. If you were to pour this and you started noticing chunks, that's a sign that your gelatin isn't melted well enough. So just put that in for a little bit longer. Ideally, you've checked that though before you put the kombucha in. And if it's bubbly like this, all that just means is that you have, you've whisked your juice at too high a speed and you've whisked in your kombucha too much. So just try and chill with that. But see here, like this one's got a little bit of white. I can just pull it off. And my leftovers, I'm gonna pour straight into a container. Gosh, it's easy to... All right, the jellies are done. Let me show you how you know that they're perfect. See here, I can just push them up. Oh my gosh, and they pop out. Just like that. All you need to do now is I just get all of these out of the molds and grab a little container and they can go straight in there. If you are loving the ease of fermenting and really want to include a lot more recipes like this in your family's diet, check out my fermenting course. It's only open for a couple of days every year. And in it, I have recipes that are as simple as this. I can show you other things to do with your kombucha. I teach you sourdough, both the gluten-free type and the standard type, and how to turn that into bread, but turn it into pizzas. Put a little bit of that sourdough starter there into your brownies, into your cookies, and it will make them easier to digest. It will actually start breaking down the proteins and the carbohydrates in that wheat flour so that you can absorb the goodness and there isn't such a big load on your belly. I also teach you how to ferment fruits, how to ferment juice as well, so that you can remove all of the fructose sugar out of it, and then you can make them into these gummies. Come join now. There's a payment plan there, and we start straight away. It is a self-guided course, so you can choose whichever recipe that you want to start with. But what I'd love to see you do now is come and take a photo, show us your gummies in the Facebook group. Tell us which flavors that you used of your juice. I want to see your colors. Oh gosh, you wait till I show you this one. And I hope that you found it. Look at that. Go Ukraine. That's so cool. Is that you will be like, you know what? I could make these every single week. So store them in a glass container in the fridge and eat them up within sort of 3 to 4 days. How many do I give? I tended to start with just a palm size of whatever that is, and you work up from there. It is all about, with ferments, starting small and doing it regularly. How cool! I'd love to see you in the full fermenting course. The link is below. And let us know how this goes in the Facebook group. And I'll see you tomorrow to open your carrots. See you. Well, that's really good.